It's Tuesday, March 26, 2024. Thanks for joining me today. Please make sure to like, share, subscribe. I want to get right into this video today. My heart goes out to the people in Baltimore who lost their lives. A tragic accident, or was it more than that? I was just, thinking about a few things, reading some articles today, watching some of the news, and you have to ask yourself, is someone trying to disrupt the United States? And you read these articles where the goal is, we've been under a lot of cyber attacks by China, and the goal is to disrupt everything critical to life, such as electricity, cell phones, water systems, sewage treatment facilities, flights, trains, and even ships, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I'm not making any allegations here, but I do find it interesting that 100,000-ton ship was sailing or moving through the port, and the power goes off. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. The power goes off, and it goes right into this bridge. And again, my heart goes out to the 6 workers who were filling potholes this morning, the wrong place at the wrong time. Let's make sure we say a prayer for their families. A couple people have been hurt. But are we seeing havoc being unleashed on the United States? Is this warfare with China? And it's not a bullet that needs to be fired. We are now watching the advancement and very sophisticated tools being used now to infiltrate our infrastructure here in America. And China is surpassing America in technology, whether you want to believe that or not. Now, there was an article today from the Daily Mail. Doomed cargo ship was being piloted by a local crew trained to avoid obstacles in the Baltimore port. As it emerges, the 100,000-ton vessel lost control and propulsion moments before smashing into the bridge. Now, this vessel had an inspection September 9th of 2023. No deficiencies were found. And if you watch this video, it is a horrific sight, because you see cars driving by on both sides of the bridge, and you see the workers' trucks. I think there's like 3 worker trucks there. They've got their lights on, and they had no chance whatsoever. So again, my heart goes out to their families. Make sure that we all say a prayer for these families, because their life has turned upside down. And as I'm watching the news today on all the channels, they're really talking about the financial impact this is going to have on America. And I'm thinking, yes, it's going to have a huge impact, right? There's no doubt. This is going to have a huge financial impact on America. But they haven't even found the bodies yet. And people's lives, their families have been destroyed today. And we've already moved on, talking about how much money this is going to cost. And of course, the president came out and said, we're going to pay for all of this, don't worry. So we're going to see, this is going to cause more shortages. It's going to cause more inflation. It's going to be a slowdown in shipments. It's amazing how many cars get shipped in and out of this port. And this is a big deal. Fox Business, Baltimore bridge collapse to bring trade and traffic chaos. 20th biggest port in the nation, ranked by total tons. It is closer to the Midwest than any East Coast ports, with 5 public and 12 private terminals. The port is the busiest in the U.S. for car shipments, handling more than 750,000 vehicles in 2023. That is a big number. In fact, I saw another update today. I think it was on CNN. It said 850,000 vehicles. So whatever the number, it's a huge number. And this is going to put more financial strain on this country, and more strain on shipments coming in and going out of this country. And it's going to be a huge financial cost and a huge inconvenience. The port is also very popular with cruise lines, including Norwegian, Carnival, and Royal Caribbean. In 2023, cruises carrying more than 443,000 passengers departed from the port. An important fact on what happened today that I found kind of interesting is the name of the bridge, the Scott Key Francis Bridge. And who is Scott Key Francis? Well, he was a poet slash lawyer back in the 1800s, I believe. But the real key fact here is that he wrote the Star-Spangled Banner. Now, is this symbolic in any way? I might be stretching, but is it symbolic in any way that This ship crashed into this bridge named the Scott Key Francis Bridge. Who wrote the Star-Spangled Banner? Is it symbolic in any way? I don't know. Comment down below. But watching the video, as the ship is approaching the bridge, it gets very, very close. The power shuts off. Like there's no lights, and you see a lot of smoke coming out of the ship. So something happened to the ship. They lost control, and they hit the bridge. Now, was this some sort of cyber attack? Is it possible? I don't know. Please comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on this. Was this an innocent accident, or was it something more nefarious? We know the amount of cyber attacks that we're seeing in this country daily with, again, water treatment facilities, sewage facilities, government facilities, financial facilities, school facilities, hospitals, you name it. We've seen it. So is it possible, and I'm not saying it was China, it could have been anybody, but is it possible that this ship could have been shut down on purpose, causing it to drive right into that bridge? I have no idea. But with everything that is happening in the world right now, I would not rule anything out. Very, very interesting that how many years has that bridge been up and a ship has never hit it? And then the people who were specifically on that ship this morning to guide it out, makes no sense whatsoever. The ship apparently was up to date with all of its checks and inspections, and seemed to be in good working order, and it just was leaving the port. So comment down below. Now, shifting gears here a little bit. Fox Business, California food chains laying off workers ahead of the new minimum wage law. We're going to see a lot more layoffs. In fact, more people are being laid off in California than any other state. We don't even really know the true unemployment numbers, but I thought this was interesting. Michael Ojeda, 29, a Pizza Hut delivery driver in Ontario, California, got laid off in February after working for them for nearly a decade. Think about like fast food. The fast food industry now has become careers for so many people, and now so many thousands of people are going to lose their jobs in California because of this new law. Roundtable Pizza laying off 1,280 delivery drivers this year. There's lots of little mom and pop restaurants that are going to have to lay off. That have 4 or 5 employees, now they're going to be down to 2. They have 10, they're going to cut half, they're going to be down to 5. This is going to happen throughout California because of this new law that these restaurants are going to have to, raise minimum wage to $20. If you have 60 plus locations, you must pay $20. But smaller restaurants are going to have to be competitive. Otherwise, they're not going to get anybody to work for them. So they're going to have to continue to raise their rates, and they can't do it. I know a couple of people personally that have small restaurants, and they're laying off people. They cannot continue to afford to pay what they're paying. They're not paying $20 an hour at this point. They're paying, $17, $18 an hour. Some may be paying $20, and they just cannot afford to do this anymore, and more layoffs are coming. TheWinePress.com, FDIC data reveals mega banks have large exposure to commercial real estate, not just regionals. This is very, very disturbing, and this 60 Minutes interview last month with Jerome Powell, Scott Pelley did the interview. He said that the value of commercial office buildings, this is Scott Pelley, the value of commercial office buildings all across the country is dropping as people work from home. Those buildings support the balance sheets of banks all across the country. What is the likelihood of another real estate-led banking crisis? He asked Jerome Powell. And Jerome Powell replies, I don't think this is likely. When's the last time you heard that? Every time they tell you they don't think this could happen, it always does. I don't think this is likely. We work from home, and you have some weakness in office real estate and also retail, and there will be losses in that. We looked at the larger banks' balance sheets, and it appears to be a manageable problem. There will be failures, but this is not the big banks, he says. It's more smaller and medium-sized banks that have the issues. Do you believe Jerome Powell? I don't. Commercial real estate exposure of the largest U.S. banks. Here's just a few of them. Citibank has $945 billion of exposure. Bank of America, $1.1 trillion of exposure in commercial real estate. Wells Fargo, $684 billion. JP Morgan, $1.4 trillion. Capital One, $315 billion of exposure in commercial real estate. And the list goes on. The 6 largest banks saw delinquent real estate property loans triple to $9.3 billion in 2023 and higher vacancy rates. Jerome Powell is not being straight with the American people. Big banks are in big trouble. Small banks are in big trouble. Medium banks are in big trouble. Most banks in the United States at this point are in trouble, and we're going to see a lot more go down. And let's face it, if they weren't controlling and manipulating things so much and having the repo market open at night, how many banks would even be alive today right now? How much of this is being artificially kept alive by the Federal Reserve right now, lending out and giving out so much money, and we know that quantitative easing is still taking place. They're not telling us the truth, and sooner or later we will have printed so much more money, borrowed so much money, we will be so far deep into debt. There's going to be no way out of this problem, ladies and gentlemen. It is staggering the amount of money that we're printing, borrowing. The debts, the deficits are exploding. Anybody out there that thinks that this is going to end well, you need psychological help. And I really, really mean that. Economiccollapse.com. New York, Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Baltimore were once beautiful cities. It says here, if America is heading into the right direction, why have so many of our cities become cesspools of violence, drugs, theft, trash, and homelessness? It's a good question, right? I mean, I think we can all see with our own 2 eyes what is going on, that things are not heading in a good direction. With all this money, all this tax revenue that the country brings in, all the money that we send all over the world, why in the world are our cities looking like cesspools? Why do we have so many problems right here in America? And why are we not dealing with our own problems? Why are we dealing with problems all over the world, not ours? New York Westfield Mall permanently shut down. This was absolutely shocking. The Westfield Mall in New York cost $1 billion 10 years ago to build, and it's already been shut down. Who owns that mall? How many investors, bondholders are on the hook for that? What do you do with a vacant mall in Manhattan? I guess you can put a lot of people in there from all over the world. I don't know. But we are witnessing the death of these beautiful, iconic American cities. And I don't know if they will ever come back. And I think it is going to get much worse. You know, if you just come to California, and so many people do because, you know, they watch movies and they want to come down and see Hollywood and Hollywood Boulevard. And I run into people sometimes from other countries out here visiting, and they will say, yeah, we were in Los Angeles for a couple days, and wow, it was really scary. And we went to Hollywood Boulevard, and wow, it was really scary, really dangerous, and it didn't look like anything from the movies. It doesn't, ladies and gentlemen. If you're thinking about spending time in Los Angeles, you should probably find a different place to spend time. It is extremely dangerous. It has gotten just inundated with homeless people and tents and rats and trash and gangs. It is really a ugly place now. And it's so sad. You know, when you look at these cities with so much history, Chicago, another beautiful city, tons of history. It is a war zone. You come to Los Angeles, the beautiful history, the glamour, the glitz of Hollywood, it is a cesspool. It is a cesspool. Baltimore has 3 police officers patrol a district of 61,000 residents. There is no doubt that this is a nation in decline, ladies and gentlemen. God help us all. This country needs a miracle. And the scary thing is, I don't see it getting better. I don't see any area of this or any city improving. They're all getting worse. Remember years ago when we would talk about Detroit, and now all these cities look like Detroit. People would talk about my videos in Skid Row 5 years ago and say that, oh, that's just Skid Row. Skid Row now is all over California. Skid Row has expanded into Beverly Hills, Culver City, Santa Monica, Palm Springs, California, Riverside, California, San Diego, California. It's everywhere. And this epidemic of homelessness and despair is continuing to go across the entire nation now. And people who thought that they would never see this in their small towns are seeing it. And people who used to laugh about this stuff and say it will never happen where they live, they ain't laughing anymore, because now they got tents in their little towns. They got homeless people in their little towns. They got gangs in their little towns. They got a drug epidemic in their little towns. It's all happening. It's going to get worse. It's going to get worse. I don't have the answer. I don't think we can stop it. We're going to need a miracle. In the meantime, you can only do what you can do. Make sure you're looking out for you and your family. Make sure you're praying for this country. You know, everything is just seeming to fail. Everything. I mean, waking up to this disaster today with this ship and more financial chaos and people losing their loved ones. What's happening over in Eastern Europe, what's happening in Taiwan, what's happening right down here at our borders, what's happening to our cities, the cyber attacks, the crime, the violence, the homelessness, the food insecurity, the debt, the deficits. Where is it getting better? Is it going to get better? I don't see it getting better anytime soon. I can't see very far out into the distance, but I can see probably tomorrow, next week, and next month that things don't appear to be getting any better. And I think that we all need to prepare for things to get drastically worse, make sure we can protect ourselves, make sure we can feed ourselves, make sure we're our own central banks, that we have access to money, currency, and assets, and do not rely on the system. The system is going down like the Titanic. And if you're a debt slave to the system, you're going down with the ship. And millions of people, unfortunately, are going to go down with the ship because it's too late for them. It's too late for them. If you have the means, you have the ability, and you can prepare, you better start yesterday. That's all I can say. And hopefully it's not too late. Everybody now should have probably at least 6 months of food put away. Everybody should have some training with using their hands. Everybody should be at the range and have some proficiency with their tools. Everybody better have some water put away. Everybody better have a plan, and everybody daily better be getting in a mental mindset that things are going to get worse, and they could stay worse for a while. I'm going to leave it there today. I don't want to rant. A lot of things happening, and who knows what tomorrow brings? Who knows what could possibly come in the next hour, or 3 hours or 12 hours? Nobody knows. Things are just going off all over the world at this point. I think about those workers today on that bridge when they went to work this morning. It was 1:30 in the morning. You think that they thought that this would be their last day on Earth? You think that they thought a ship would hit the bridge while they're filling potholes and they would fall into the ocean and that would be it? Those people in Russia that went to the theater to have a nice relaxing evening, do you think that they thought that this was going to be it? Think about it. Don't take life for granted. Take the time that you have, prepare, be very, very blessed that you have another day of life. Don't take it for granted, ladies and gentlemen. Thank God every morning, every night for another day of life. Ask God to guide and protect you and your families. That's the best advice I can give anybody today. God bless all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and pray for this country. We need a miracle.